What's up, passionate Pokemon players? I'm Brian, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Pokemon Nest. This time, we are getting into our first decks of Destined Rivals here, and I've got a lot of decks. It was so hard for me to decide which one to go first, but I went with Typhlosion, who's probably my overall favorite Pokemon of the set, not necessarily the mechanic or whatever, but I do like the mechanic. I did get some experience with it during pre-release as well, so I felt like that was a really good one to start with. So we're going to get into my Typhlosion list, each card on the list, why I have it. We'll go over the strategy on how to play the deck, the strengths and weaknesses of it, and then I'll go through a couple other cards to consider swapping in the deck in the end. Alright, and here we go. Here's the deck list up on the left side, and notice the new music. Pokemon TCG Live threw in some Team Rocket music that it's like, I don't know, villainous, I guess. I don't know. It works. But anyway, so we'll start off with Ethan's Typhlosion. So this deck, overall, it doesn't have a ton of Pokemon in there. I think it doesn't need a lot. It's very simple, straightforward, and get it to go. So we've got Ethan's Typhlosion, who is obviously our main attacker, and what we're going to be wanting to do is using Buddy Blast. So Buddy Blast does 40 damage, and then it does 60 more damage for each Ethan's Adventure card in your discard pile. So if you can get 4 of them in your discard pile, that's 240 plus 40, 280. So it'll take out most Pokemon. It's not going to one-shot stage 2 EXs, but it's going to take out most Pokemon, and it's 170 HP. It's oftentimes going to get one shot itself, but obviously being a single prizer, then that's good. And it only needs 1 energy, so the goal is really like to knock your opponent out quicker than they can get their next Pokemon ready to go. So that's kind of what we're doing. So let's backtrack a little bit. We've got Ethan's Quilava. Now this one is one that you do want to get. You want to avoid using rare candies, at least initially, because you want to be using Bonded by the Journey. So that move does, once during your turn, you can search your deck for an Ethan's Adventure card, reveal, put into your hand. So this actually just kind of turbocharges the deck. As soon as you can get your first Quilava going, then you're pretty much set to be able to just continue this chain as you're continuously getting Bonded by the Journey. So a lot of times, let's say you've got an Ethan's Quilava on your bench and nothing else, then you can search your deck for the whole evolution chain. Another Cyndaquil, another Quilava, and then a Typhlosion, so that next turn you evolve this one into your Typhlosion. You've already placed a Cyndaquil for that turn, and then next turn you're going to evolve into a Quilava, grab another Bonded by the Journey, and then just kind of continue things. So you're grabbing 3 cards from your deck, 4 in a turn really, so it also really helps you thin out that deck, right? For Ethan's Cyndaquil, we don't have an option. There's only one. It has to be an Ethan's for that whole chain. So, you know, you get him. I would also recommend never using Ember because you discard an energy. Unless, I don't know, if you want to really just take out a Badoo or something, sure. But I would avoid it whenever possible because, you know, then you risk not having your Typhlosion ready. And you might have to waste one of your 3 slots from Ethan's Adventure on an energy. Okay. So the only other Pokemon I have are going to be Ponyta and Rapidash. Now I went with this particular Ponyta in case it does get stuck in my active spot. It does have Collect to draw a card, and then you can use that same energy to just retreat it the turn after. But this one I really like. So this is from the new set Rapidash. Hurried Gate. Once during your turn you may draw a card. So you can get 2 of those bad boys on there, and you're just drawing a card every turn. It does only need 1 energy to retreat, so if you do get caught in the active, you can retreat pretty easily out there. You don't have to rely too much on Kieran's or switches or anything like that. And we're drawing every turn. Not bad. Okay, now that's all the Pokemon already, so let's go right into the next one. So I've got some Buddy-Buddy Poffins. I am running 4 of them. I'm on the fence, like, do I need 4 or don't I? Because most of the time we're going to be grabbing them with, we're going to be grabbing Cyndaquils with Ethan's Adventure, but I think we want to increase the chances of getting these into hand like turn 1 and 2. You know, we do want, whenever possible, to just swarm our benches quickly and also get those Ponytas on bench. So I think 4 is a good number here. All right, then we've got Earthen Vessel. Also got 4 Earthen Vessel. I do want to increase my chances of being able to get my energy in hand, even though I only need 1. You know, we don't have a huge draw engine here. Those Rapidashes only draw you 1 card per turn, so you're max drawing 2 cards because I'm only playing 2. So anyway. This also helps us thin our deck. Night Stretcher, I'm going to go with 4 Night Stretchers where we can get either energy or our Typhlosion, Quilava, whatever that may be. In a single prizer deck, then we're probably going to need to grab at least 1 or 2 of them back. I would try to avoid grabbing energies whenever possible. Remember, we are going to run 9 fire energy. So, you know, we even if we have to discard a few of them, we'll be okay. Now, the Pokégear 3.0, I think, is a perfect card for this deck, helping us find Ethan's Adventure so we don't have to rely completely on Quilavas, and then also getting other stuff. You know, maybe we can get an Iono or something with it. Rare Candy, I'm going to run just 2 Rare Candies because remember, I do want to be actually evolving the Quilava to get Ethan's Adventure. So now I'm actually running 3 of the Ethan's Quilava. Secret Box, now this one, I'm still kind of on the fence to be quite honest about this one. I haven't even used it too often. I haven't even somehow come across it. It was a later add to the deck. But I think it's a solid one. You do have to discard 3, so that's what I don't necessarily like about it. But hey, maybe some of those are going to be Ethan's adventures, so we could just get him straight to discard, and then we can grab an item, a tool, a supporter card. So we can grab a TM Evolution, which we may or may not use, but we can get a stadium card, which we don't actually have there, and then a supporter. So we could grab another Ethan's Adventure. I don't know. It's one to think about removing. I may want to go with like a Prime Catcher or something, but for now I've got it. Ultra Ball, 3 Ultra Balls. Boss's Orders, 3 Boss's Orders, and then 4 Ethan's Adventure. Now, I've been talking about this card, but just in case you don't know what it does, you can search your deck for up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and Basic Fire Energy. So that's how we're just going to really quickly get our Ethan's Typhlosions out there. You want to swarm your bench with these Typhlosions as quickly as possible. Iono, I am going to run, did I get 3 or 4? I've got 3 Ionos in here, just kind of help us get out of a bad hand while also messing with our opponent. Kieran, I love me some Kieran, especially in this one. Now I almost went switch, but because I have the Pokégear 3.0, it gives me some more targets for it, and I really do like it. So let's say we get up to the 280, I can increase by 30, and that could sometimes be the difference. Like it actually helped me in one battle. I was playing Roaring Moon, and they got their Roaring Moon to 290, so I was 10 short. Hey, Kieran got the job done. TM Evolution, another one, like I said, that one's just a solid one to help me more quickly evolve my Pokemon. I've only run 2, and then the 9 Fire Energy. Let's go through the strategy strengths and weaknesses. The strategies, number 1, using Ethan's Adventure. You need to use them to set up your board, but you also need to get them in your discard pile. Then from there is a step-by-step evolution, meaning like you want to avoid using Rare Candy if possible, unless you've already got all your Ethan's Adventure in hand, or in the discard pile, right? And then really just work on thinning your deck out to where if your opponent does Iono you, that you're hopefully going to draw what you need, and get rid of what you don't need. It's pretty straightforward. The strengths are, it can be, for the most part, unless you just get a really terrible hand, like it's pretty quick to set this up to where you only need 1 energy on your Typhlosions, and using those Ethan's Adventure just kind of really makes it easy to evolve a new Typhlosion every single turn. So it's pretty quick setup, and then it's a single prizer, and for a single prizer, it's one of the hardest hitting single prize decks I've played it, where we can pretty easily get up to 280 damage for 1 energy. Like, that's pretty crazy to me. The weakness is it is obviously relying on Ethan's Adventure. Like, for example, if you get 2 of them prized and you don't get those prizes for some time, then we're going to be locked hitting for much lower damage, right? 160. So that's not great, but to be honest, even still, like 160, you're going to knock almost anything out in 2 hits. If you go ahead and Kieran, then you're able to pretty much, maybe you can get up to 190 or something and really go from there. But it's pretty good. You also aren't playing bench protection, so that's something to think about too. You may consider if you want to throw in like a shaman, one of those new ones in there for bench protection. And then another weakness is like you literally have one attacker, right? So if they can just kind of, if your opponent figures out a way to just stymie you into evolving, it's going to be a hard time. So you need to evolve as quickly as possible. Your biggest fear probably like a Dragapult that's just going to be knocking out your Cyndaquils before they can get evolved. So worry about those type of things. And finally, let's go through some other cards to consider. The first one being Prime Catcher. I don't know. I do like this one, and I'm still considering swapping back. It was my original choice, but I did like the Secret Box. I think I just haven't had enough practice with it in yet to really see which I like more. So I'm gonna keep trying it. With the Secret Box for now, but may switch to Prime eventually. The other one I considered that is solid if you want to just kind of avoid the whole Ethan's Adventure thing, and then maybe swap one of your Quilava out for another Rare Candy would be a brilliant blender. Then you can just straight up discard your Ethan's Adventures. But in my opinion, like, the Ethan's Adventure is a good card. Like, you want to use it, so I would say you want to not put Brilliant Blender and just kind of go the natural progression of getting your Ethan's Adventures in hand and using them. Judge. Now, I didn't just put this Judge because I want to show it off how cool he looks. And, you know, he looks really cool. This one is one I have considered because, honestly, like, sometimes late game I do get into trouble with Iono to where I'm down to 1 or 2 prizes and my hand's getting a little bit not great. Maybe I'm already down to 1 or 2 cards, and then I'm just kind of getting hand locked. And it's lost me 1 or 2 games because maybe I don't have that final Typhlosion ready or something like that. So I considered swapping in a Judge. I don't quite like it yet. You know, it does get my opponent as well in the same situation. So I'll probably keep it where it's at. Now here's one I do like is Morty's Conviction. I almost forgot about this card, and somebody recommended me throwing it into one of my Venusaur decks. Now, this one's cool. You can only use this card if you discard another card from your hand. Draw a card for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I find almost all of my opponents now are just playing a lot of bench Pokemon. Like, I think that's kind of where we're at in the game. I see everyone just loading up their bench, whether they're putting, you know, Dusknoirs on there and their next evolution Pokemon. You know, there's just a lot going on. We're probably going to see more Shamans as well. So I think it's a solid card that can get us a decent amount of draw. And the other part about it is discard another card from your hand. Maybe we're done with our Ethan's Adventures, and then that's a way of discarding them without having to use them. So I do like this card. I'm just not exactly sure what I'd remove for it. Like, I don't know if it's quite good enough for me to remove Iono for it, and I don't know about anything else. Like, maybe, but it's one to think about. Now, I mentioned Shaman a few times. This one's a new one too, and it's one to think about to give us some bench protection. Prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon that don't have a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So it's a solid one there. I think the one thing about that is, like, it's not going to protect, I believe, from Dragapult, but it will give us some protection. There are a lot of Pokemon doing damage right now to our bench, but I don't know if I quite like it. I don't know if it really gels with this deck. It is taking up a bench spot that I just kind of want to, like, use on getting Rapidashes and having a couple of my Typhlosions ready. I don't like to risk only having one ready to go when we're talking about a stage 2 Pokemon. So I don't know. I don't really like it, but it is one that you should consider putting in there if you're worried about taking damage to your bench. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Pokemon Nest. Hope you enjoy this deck. Hope you're ready for the new era in Destined Rivals. I'm stoked about this. We've got so many decks going. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but we've got a coughing deck coming. I've got a Nidoking deck coming at some point, and I've got a couple other Rockets ones. I think the Team Rocket... The Team Rocket whole, like, package is something I'm going to be messing around with over the next, like, month or two, maybe even most of this set. So we'll see how it goes. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Hawks Nest, a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love. I love making these decks. I'm ready for it. If you're not ready to fly yet, that's all right. Just hit that like button. We'll show up in an algorithm near you in the near future. But until then, see you next time.